welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're going to get into that Lakers game one stumble against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, that one definitely raised some eyebrows.
Totally. And you, our listeners, have armed us with some really interesting stuff, post-game analysis, I think, from Technology Times BD. Lots of former players, commentators weighing in.
Right, and we also have the actual post-game comments from Austin Reeves and LeBron James, too. So you get that immediate raw reaction from inside the locker room.
Exactly. So our mission here is to, dig into why they lost that game at home. What does it mean going forward? Try and make sense of it all.
And it was unexpected, right? I mean, the Lakers were favored. Even the analysts we look at seem to think they'd take the series. But Minnesota comes in and grabs game one.
Right. And context is key here. The analysts mentioned Luka Doncic having a big game in his series, sort of setting a tone across the league playoffs. But that didn't translate for the Lakers despite being at home. So, yeah, where do we start unpacking this loss?
Well, I think the immediate reaction from a lot of the analysts pointed straight at the bench, or the lack thereof for the Lakers.
Only 13 points, right? That number just jumps off the page.
It really does, especially when you contrast it with Minnesota. Their supporting guys really showed up. Naz Reid drops 23 off the bench. That's a game changer.
23. Wow.
And Jaden McDaniels. Some analysts were even arguing he might have been the best player on the floor, period. Not just best role player, but best player.
So, okay, 13 bench points. What does that signal beyond just, missed shots? Is it about matchups, coaching rotations?
It's probably a bit of everything, I'd guess. Maybe the matchups just weren't favorable for the Lakers' second unit. Or, like you said, maybe the coaching staff couldn't quite find the right mix, the right buttons to push.
And it puts so much pressure back on the starters then.
Exactly. They had to play more minutes, carry a heavier load. And speaking of the load, another big theme from the analysts was just energy, or maybe a lack of it.
Yeah, they mentioned aggressiveness, hustle plays, offensive rebounds, diving for loose balls, those kinds of things.
Right. The sort of dirty work stats. It felt like Minnesota was winning those battles more often. Even with LeBron doing his thing, the collective energy wasn't quite there.
Does that suggest maybe they, underestimated the T-Wolves a bit coming into game one?
It makes you wonder. Playoff intensity is just different, right? Every single possession feels heavier if you're not dialed into that from the tip.
And Minnesota clearly was dialed in.
Looked like it.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Magic Johnson's take. He wasn't holding back.
No, he definitely wasn't. Went straight to Twitter, called out Coach J.J. Reich pretty directly, said the offense was stagnant.
Yeah, stood around, too much one-on-one, and critically, a lack of adjustments. That's pretty pointed criticism from a legend like Magic.
So how does that square with the energy thing? Is a stagnant offense a symptom of low energy or a cause?
Could be both, honestly. If guys aren't moving, cutting hard, setting good screens, the offense naturally bogs down into isolation ball. And if the coach isn't adjusting to counter what the defense is doing, it feeds into that stagnant feel Magic was talking about.
So it gets into that classic debate, right? How much is coaching? How much is player execution? One analyst sort of framed it as, coach prepares them, players execute, but then immediately said Minnesota just looked more ready.
Yeah, and that's the tricky part. Preparation is key. The game plan matters. But if the players don't bring the required intensity or can't execute under pressure.
The ball's apart anyway.
Right. But if one team consistently looks more prepared, more locked in for that playoff fight, you do start asking questions about the preparation side, too. It's rarely just one or the other.
Okay, let's drill down into some specifics then. Defensively, 48 points combined for McDaniels and Naz Reid. That feels like a breakdown somewhere.
That's a huge number from guys who aren't, the primary stars. It suggests maybe the scouting report, or the defensive focus, was maybe too heavily weighted towards Edwards and Towns.
Like they weren't respecting the others enough.
Possibly. Or they just couldn't execute the plan to contain them.
Right.
In the playoffs, good teams will find your weakness. They'll exploit the third and fourth options if you let them. That 48 points says the Lakers let them.
It really hammers home that playoff point. You can't just focus on the top two guys.
Nope. Everyone on the floor can hurt you. One analyst basically said, something wasn't right in that scouting report. You need adjustments.
And speaking of key players, let's talk Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
This was fascinating. The analysts really highlighted him, saying maybe he's the real key beyond even LeBron and, the other stars.
Yeah, that stat they pulled was pretty compelling. When Reeves scores 20 or more in the regular season, what was it?
27-9. Their record was 27-9 when he hit 20 points.
See, that's significant. He balances their offense. He takes pressure off LeBron, can create, can play off the ball. When he's going well, the whole offense just flows better.
And the Timberwolves seem to really focus on taking him out of the game in Game 1.
It looked that way. And if you neutralize him, the Lakers become a lot more predictable, easier to guard.
Interestingly, Reeves himself kind of acknowledged it. We have his post-game comments here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he needed to be better, especially at the start of the second quarter.
Right, when the game started to slip away.
Exactly. He felt that Timberwolves' run impacted them on both ends. That's good self-awareness, you'd think.
Absolutely. Owning it like that is a positive sign. It means he knows his importance and will likely be looking to assert himself more in Game 2.
Then you flip over to LeBron's comments. He was talking about controlling the controllables.
Always a big theme for him.
And he pointed to two big areas: fast break points.
Oh, yeah, that difference was huge. 25-6.
25-6. For a team that was supposedly good at preventing fast breaks all season, that's a major breakdown.
It really is. That points to maybe transition defense effort, communication, or just careless turnovers leading to easy runouts for Minnesota.
And the other controllable: three-point defense. They gave up 21 threes.
21, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That could be scheme, rotations, effort on closeouts, a mix of things, but definitely controllable elements that got away from them.
But LeBron did offer a glimmer of hope, right? He mentioned that stretch in the third quarter where they did start to match the Timberwolves' physicality.
Yeah, he said they started turning them over,
Yeah.
getting extra possessions by upping the intensity. So they know how to do it, they can do it.
The challenge is just doing it for 48 minutes.
That's always the challenge in the playoffs. Consistency. He also mentioned struggling with offensive rebounds and giving up open looks during those middle quarters when Minnesota built the lead.
And you mentioned the turnovers earlier. 18 points off turnovers for Minnesota, only 9 for the Lakers. That ties into LeBron's point about valuing possessions.
Absolutely critical in the playoffs. Can't give away free points like that. And the Timberwolves' offense, that drive and kick game the analysts talked about, seemed really effective in generating those open corner threes.
So, looking ahead to Game 2, LeBron's message seems to be, okay, acknowledge the urgency, they took home court, but stay calm.
Pretty much. Veteran leadership, right. Don't panic after one loss, but understand the stakes are high now. He talked about watching film, adjusting the game plan. It's all about the response now.
Okay, so let's try and sum this up. Game 1. It feels like a perfect storm kind of loss for the Lakers. Bench disappears, energy wasn't consistently there, key defensive lapses against guys like Reed and McDaniels.
Plus, struggles with those controllables,
Yeah.
turnovers, transition D, giving up too many threes. Yeah, a lot went wrong.
And Austin Reeves emerges as this really important barometer for their success.
Seems that way. So the adjustments needed feel pretty clear, don't they? Better defense on the supporting cast, match the energy and physicality from the start.
Find ways to get the offense moving, avoid that stagnation Magic talked about.
And clean up the turnovers and fast breaks. Control what you can control.
Right. So the final thought then, for you listening. What was Game 1? Was it just a wake-up call, that shock of playoff intensity LeBron sort of hinted they needed to feel out?
Are these issues deeper?
Yeah.
Are they systemic problems with how this Lakers team is built or coached that they need to fix fast to avoid this series getting away from them?
Yeah. And maybe think about this. If they could only make one adjustment for Game 2, what's the single most impactful change they could make?
Good question to ponder. Anyway, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.